Welcome back, everybody, to the Nuggets of Gold podcast and YouTube channel. Today, I'm here with Kobe, part of 49ers Gold Mine. Kobe, want to say hi to everybody real quick before we start?
Hey man, how you guys doing? Second time here, Matt. How you doing, man? Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you coming on. We're recording pretty late here on the East Coast. We're going to get this out on Tuesday. So we're recording Monday night, a little bit after the 49ers' first preseason game. And the big story of all of this preseason for the 49ers is going to be Trey Lance. And I thought that his last outing was another example of a strong outing. Now started out super slow. I think he started out, I think it was 1 for 6 with like
Yeah.
9 yards and a pick.
Yep.
Um, and initially when I was watching the game, the big thing that was standing out to me, and Kobe, I want you to kind of give your interpretation of this because you were just talking about the second ago. But the biggest problem I saw early on from him was that he was holding on to the ball for a long time. Um, and I am one that believes that Trey Lance should start week one, but I do think that's the thing that early on has been holding him back the most, or at least, the biggest issue I've seen. But you had kind of a different interpretation of that. Did you want to share that really quickly?
Yeah. So from what I see, I feel like obviously we know Trey is a very mobile guy, guys who's very dangerous with his legs. I've seen times where it feels like he could take off sooner than he has tried to, or just hasn't tried at all. Like there was this one where he got sacked and he kind of like just scrimmed out of the pocket to the left and just kind of held onto the ball forever. And I'm just thinking like, okay, you're gonna run Trey, or are you just gonna sit there and hold it? And I feel like that's something because it's preseason and because it's not regular season games and there's no really real game plan in place. I feel like it's more so what Kyle and the coaching staff wants him to do so they can evaluate his passing reps. And that's kind of, and I don't want to say like I'm making an excuse for him because obviously there's times where you would like him to get rid of the ball a little sooner. Make a quicker read, get the ball out of your hands so you don't take a hit or don't risk turn the ball over. Um, but for a guy as mobile as he is and how dangerous he is with his legs and how often he uses his legs, it's surprising to me when he doesn't take off. And I have to feel like that's kind of what they want him to do. Because even in the first three practices in training camp, there's reports that he hadn't used his legs much. And then all of a sudden, like a week later, he's using his legs a lot. I just feel like for evaluation and like just to put things on film and give him things to work on, things to fix and better himself, they're using the preseason as a way to do that. So they're having him stay in the pocket and just read the field and make throws rather than just taking off and running most of the time.
Yeah, and I hadn't. I like that you bring this up because I hadn't really thought about it in like that perspective. Just because when I've been watching him, especially like I've just been like, I mean, pretty locked in. Like, all right, how is he doing? Is he doing well? Is
Yeah,
he doing well?
right.
And not really thinking about the situation of it because he's a rookie quarterback who hasn't played. I mean, he's had one game and then he had he had like basically a full year off almost. And he's a guy, he's played against lower end competition, so you just want to see how he looks. But you gotta remember this isn't a veteran quarterback. We're not watching him like we watch Jimmy Garoppolo and we go, oh look, Jimmy made this mistake. Like the mistakes are different, and they're also putting those guys in different circumstances. Which once you said that, I agree with you because I think that's definitely has to be part of it because we've seen his ability to run. I mean, we've seen that is an outstanding skill,
Yeah.
and they haven't put it on display at all. I mean, he has what the one rush was it for 8 or 9 yards? That's the
Yeah.
only
And,
one I
that's,
think he's
and he
had.
kind of had to. Like, there's no one outside the field, so he kind of had to take off there. So
And then he
that's the only
also
one
had
we've seen.
and then he had the 2 point conversion as well, but it got called back. I want to say,
Yeah.
and so like I mean, we see Rogers do 2 point conversions all the time. The guys aren't like true rushing threats, but we know like that he has the talent there. So it does make sense if they're trying to, and also we're seeing him really try to wait and not take off with the football. So it does make a lot of sense to kind of bring that up. But after that kind of part of the game, we saw that he pretty much flipped his script like right before the half started. And then my main takeaways for him were that the offense, I think the offense has the potential to become a lot better when he's out there. And after watching not only this game but the first preseason game as well, I do think that he should be the week one starter. I think he's going to have a couple poor performances, but Jimmy's also going to have those poor performances. And the big thing about Lance is that you can have a really really dangerous quarterback potentially come playoff time if he starts early on. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah. And I said this last night. I'm like, hey, I don't know what Kyle Shanahan, what his thought process is and what kind of just plan he's going through, working through right now. But if it's my decision, I'm starting Trey Lance week 1, and the biggest reason why I'm doing that is because Jimmy Garoppolo does not provide you any consistency or any reliability. He's still the same Jimmy Garoppolo, the guy who is up and down, very inconsistent. We've seen that through camp. We've seen that in the his 2 drives so far in the preseason game, him missing throws high. Trey's doing the same thing, but if I'm picking between Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo gives me a limited offense and lowers the ceiling of the offense as a whole versus Trey Lance, who with his legs raises the ceiling of the offense with the run game and also the ability to push the ball down the field. So just that alone, Trey Lance is a lot further along than most rookies are, coming in. And I know people were concerned about his year off from playing football. That's what the preseason and training camp is for him to get, his feet wet. And I think that game proved also seeing how he struggled early on. Then as the game continued to go, he got better. It also shows that he just needs more reps, and he's not going to get reps if he's sitting on the bench holding a clipboard. So for me, I think go to, just to hell with it and just put Trey Lance out there. You trade 3 first round picks to get him. He's a guy who offers a lot more than what Jimmy Garoppolo can. It's not Jimmy's fault. It's just Jimmy cannot physically do the things that Trey Lance can do. And it's what you brought Trey Lance here for, to be the quarterback for this team and raise the ceiling of Shanahan's offense. And so far, I think early on he can do that for the Niners, and he offers a higher ceiling for the offense than Jimmy Garoppolo does.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think that early on, I wasn't exactly like on the 49ers should start Trey Lance week 1 train until I saw him in preseason, I would say. And that was just because I didn't think he was going to be as far along. I also really like Trey Lance. Kobe, I don't know if you noticed, I've had him as my quarterback too for a long time, and like I've always thought like this is the perfect guy for Kyle's system. The pieces fall into play. I thought he was going to eventually like initially I thought he was going to be the second pick in the draft. I really did like early on in the draft process. But then Zach Wilson's emergence kind of took over and he pretty much ran away with that spot. But I was always surprised that he's been able to like look this good early on. I think the biggest thing that I've seen that he's really improved on is his motion. And it's not perfect yet, but it is a lot tighter, and he gets the ball out way quicker than I feel like he did at North Dakota State. I think a lot of that credit can be attributed to Jordan Palmer, who is an amazing quarterback coach, because he did do some work with Trey Lance this offseason. But I think that kind of like his motion has looked a lot better. Now there is problems with it. I think that the issue that I have is that if he like steps up in the pocket or he feels like some pressure, he'll look kind of weird when he delivers and it's not consistent. But when he's, booting around and throwing a 20-yard comeback or a deep ball to Sherfield, we've seen him throw a few of these now. It's so fluid. It gets out quick. It looks a lot better than it did. And that's why I feel like we've seen him excel in a lot of the play action situations just because he's just on the run and it's like that nice, easy motion. But he's changed his motion. It looks a little bit different. But I've been really impressed with that kind of aspect of his game and that improvement. I think that's what kind of pushed me over the edge. But is there anything that's really stood out to you early on in camp and in the preseason games?
Well, it's the fact that he can make difficult throws look routine. Like he had that throw where he's rolling to his left, throwing across his body to Richie James. He just lays it right in the bucket. And I know it seems like a short throw, easy throw, but Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't make that throw that perfect. I mean, I'm not trying to hate on Jimmy Garoppolo, but he just doesn't. And Trey Lance made it look effortless. And just mechanically, obviously, you see he's a bit better now than where he was, at North Dakota State. And he worked on that mostly, the 40 days away from OTAs. They had him working on his mechanics. So he came in OTAs. They saw what they liked, didn't like, gave him things to work on. He came back and they were all mostly fixed. And we're seeing some of that in the games already of his, fixed mechanics. And, overall, and as far as just where he looks like he struggles is obviously he's a young quarterback. So there's probably going to be some defensive coverages, some looks that he's not used to seeing. And that's kind of where you see him maybe be a little inaccurate or a little indecisive, where you see something he's just not sure. Especially if they're bringing pressure on him early on. People like to blitz rookies and make them make a quick decision. We've seen him struggle sometimes with that in the drives that we've seen from these last 2 games. But once again, I mean, I'll give an example with Patrick Mahomes. Like Trey Lance's ability as a able to extend plays and his ability to throw the ball down the field and just his athletic ability is going to bail him out in times where he doesn't know what he's looking at. And right now, they're having him stay in the pocket, and we're not seeing him get out of the pocket much. No, bootlegs, no play action, nothing like that. Nothing easy for him. We're seeing him just run like kind of the drop back pass game and read the defense and then make a throw. But his abilities are going to help him out when the real games start, and Kyle Shanahan will have a game plan that will work towards his strengths, and make the game a lot easier for him. And the reason I bring up Mahomes is that Mahomes, his second year, the year we went to the Super Bowl, in the second half of that season, he said he was finally starting to understand NFL defense, and that was him after the year. So like he's only going to figure out coverages and looks as he plays, and the more he plays, the more comfortable he'll start to look. We know he's a very, very, very fast improver. He progresses at a very fast rate. It's always been that way with him, and we still see it now. The 40 days away comes back, mechanics are cleaned up, and he's ready to to compete. So the other reason why I think is just you just gotta play him, man. He's a lot more ready than I guess. I don't know exactly where Kyle and John thought he would be at when he came back, but they've already stated that he's further along than where they thought he would be, and that he's in a place where he's ready to play. So teams are already starting to prepare for both quarterbacks at this point. He's just got to do what's best for the team. And Shanahan had a quote, I think on, I think from today, I think it was on air. He was on somewhere talking to somebody, and he said, um, being ready to start, it's about getting a guy a game plan that gives you a chance to win. Which quarterback gives with a game plan gives you the best chance to win? I think that guy is likely Trey Lance because of what he can do and how he expands the playbook and expands the field for the Niners. And just Jimmy Garoppolo is still the same Jimmy Garoppolo. I know they've been saying he's been the best Jimmy we've seen. He looks like the same Jimmy, man. He looks like the same Jimmy. Maybe he's running a little bit more. We saw he had that nice scramble, which is the most mobile we've seen him in 2 or 3 years now, since the ACL injury. We've seen him pushing the ball down the field a little bit more. But that's all that's really changed with him. That's not enough. He's not consistent. You still don't know what you're getting, play in and play out. He looks good one drive and looks bad another drive. And, just the ball, sometimes is just inaccurate. And if I'm going to have to deal with that, I'm doing it with the rookie while he's also learning and getting reps and improving versus Jimmy Garoppolo. He's been in the league for 8-9 years now, and he is who he is.
Yeah, I agree with that. And early reports kind of made it seem like Jimmy was looking a lot better than he had in past years. But I think as we've seen him and we've heard the more recent practice reports, I think he's still, the same guy. Do I think that he's some bad quarterback? No, he's a pretty solid quarterback. But like you're saying, he's an inconsistent quarterback. And if you're going to have a rookie be inconsistent with top tier tools, elite tools to actually become a high end quarterback in this league, you're going to let those inconsistencies show, I think, instead. I did not hear that quote from Kyle Shanahan, but that does kind of seem like he's alluding to a specific guy. And I know he's probably not trying to do that, but it does kind of seem like that. Just hearing that.
Yeah, he was trying to defend why he didn't declare Jimmy a starter. And he said, he has no incentive to do that right now. But he already said that both guys are going to play this year. So I'm sure the Lions are already preparing for Trey Lance if he's going to play as well. And then also the quote saying, just being ready to start is about getting a guy a game plan that gives you a chance to win. And I think all our guys are capable of that. He's just kind of alluding to the fact that, ready for me means I can get a game plan in and we can win with it. And whatever game plan gives us the best chance to win is what I'll go with. And right now, I just feel like that's Trey Lance.